Hey there, how's it going? My name is David. Welcome to Kai City RC and welcome to Tamiya Blockhead Motors RC Outdoor Fest 2024. And we're going to start with this, the XR311. I'm not sure if it's an original. It could be a replica. More knowledgeable people, please let me know in the comments. It looked to be original, and certainly if it was a replica, the details on it were exceptional. Absolutely amazing to see one of these in the flesh. It's got a presence about it. It's kind of it doesn't really come across on camera. It's massive, very nice, absolutely amazing vehicle. I have a Tamiya kit that I've been meaning to build for the better part of 2 years now, just haven't got around to doing it. Yes, absolutely amazing vehicle. It's rare to see 3 Tamiya full-scale cars side by side, so quite a treat. So there we go, the XR311. It's got a license plate which leads me to believe it's road legal in Japan. Moving on, the Monster Beetle replica. One of my first RC cars back in the day was a Monster Beetle, so I have a soft spot for the Beetle. This is a very good replica. Obviously there's a couple of things. The engine is in the wrong place for one thing, and I believe it's more to do with just practicality and regulations. The tires aren't really to scale. I think if they tried to fit larger tires and wheels, then it just makes the whole thing a lot more difficult to move around. As it is, again, it's got a license plate, so I don't know if it's road legal. I've seen it running around, but I can't remember ever seeing it running around on the street. But nevertheless, it's really cool to see, you know, these full-size replicas of models, which are themselves were replicas of full-size cars. And then moving on, the Fast Attack vehicle. I believe this one is road legal. It looked really good. Again, lots of details on it. Just a cool looking machine. I wanted to pick one up, but as I've already got the Blockhead Motors version, I kind of passed on the Fast Attack vehicle. Maybe at some point in the future. I've kind of run out of space for my collection, to be honest, so I have to be very I don't want to say careful. I just basically don't have anywhere to put any models, so it has to be something I really want before I'll pick one up. And although this is nice, like I said, I do have the Blockhead Motors version, so I couldn't really pull the trigger on the Fast Attack vehicle. It does look very nice though. Okay, so what I thought we'd do next is we'd take a little bit of a walk, around the venue with my TXT1. So let's go. As you can imagine, I got a few strange looks, particularly early on in the day. This foreign dude walking around with a GoPro at the end of the stick like he's walking the dog. In this case it's the Tamiya TXT1, which actually got quite a bit of attention. Now just off to the right you can see the DJ's booth, which is most of the reason why I'm not putting the actual audio in this video, because it's just going to create so many copyright headaches for me. So apologies for that. They did have a DJ and was blasting out tunes all day long. So we've just gone down to the lower section. This has got an event space, and then around the perimeter you can see a lot of stores. Almost all of them were dealing predominantly in outdoor goods, recreational goods and those kind of things. The TXT1 being such a huge truck, it did get quite a bit of attention. A couple people wanted to know what it was. Is that really a Tamiya? Because you don't really see many of them anymore. Just off to the left you can see Paisen RC, Radio Gaga and Jun Watanabe of Blockhead Motors fame. They're all currently doing a chicken run event, which I'll talk about a bit more in a moment. Lovely season to be outdoors in Japan. Mid-fall, yeah, the weather is nice. Yeah, it's very picturesque. This caught my attention. Lunchbox that had been modified with a very loud speaker system installed. It sounded good. It looked great. It sounded even better. It's not something you see too often. Sound systems in RC cars, at least I've not come across it. That caught my attention. Moving on, quick swing around a couple of stores here. That push bike was really kind of interesting. It looks like a motorcycle, but it's actually just a pedal bicycle. The Tamiya Blockhead Motors RC Outdoor Fest is all about promoting RC as a kind of outdoor leisure activity. Camping has become really popular here in the last 5 or 6 years. and I think Tamiya and other manufacturers really want to try and get more young people interested in the hobby. I'm sure it's the same outside of Japan, but vast majority of enthusiasts are in their mid-40s, early 50s. Getting the next generation of enthusiasts interested in the hobby is, really important, imperative for the long-term survival of RC as a hobby. It's nice to have products and stuff that are, aimed at the younger enthusiasts, but it's different now, isn't it? When we grew up, kids played out in the street regularly, and if some kid had got an RC car, it was easy to see that car in action and think, well, I want one of those as well. But now kids just don't hang around on streets playing in the park or anything like that. So there's just not a lot of opportunity for young enthusiast children to see RC cars in action and generate the interest. So events like these really give people a chance to see what RC is all about. So moving on, I got a nice selection of the CC01, CC02 crawlers there, Beetle. What we got there? That was the only Clodbuster I saw all day. I was surprised. I expected to see more of them. My TXT1 was, to my knowledge, the only one there as well, which kind of made it stand out quite a bit. In the background here, you can see Jun Watanabe of Blockhead Motors fame. We've also got the guy with the orange hair. If you're in Japan, you know who he is, Radio Gaga. If you're not, he's basically one of the most popular Japanese RC YouTubers. If you spend any time watching RC on YouTube, you've probably come across his channel. And right there is Paisen RC, Maizumi-san, Tamiya spokesperson. If you watched any of their live streams or product reveals, you know who he is. So this is the lower kind of exhibition kind of event area. They put quite a large ramp up, and earlier on they were doing chicken runs, so they basically painted up an oil drum to look like a Tamiya mini spray, and the idea was you drive towards it as fast as possible, brake at the last minute, and whoever stops the closest wins. I believe that the closest was like 2 centimeters or something like that. Somebody put together some Tamiya style curry, and as you can see in those little bottles there wasn't a polycarbonate cleaner, it was actually spices. I looked around to see if it was for sale, but I couldn't find it. So, would have liked to have tried that Tamiya curry. So, moving on up to the second upper area, you can see the full scale cars in the background over there. And then this is Tamiya's mini circuit. They were doing rentals there, but it was free running. You could, if you brought your own RC, you could run around. So I took the TXT1 for a bit of a blast on that. As you can imagine, it was very busy, very popular. There were a lot of completely novice drivers there with rental RCs who had never driven an RC at all, let alone on a little mini track. So as you can imagine, it was at times complete and utter chaos. There was people going in all sorts of directions. I tried to get as much footage as I could. There was some laugh out loud moments. You can see the TXT1, the towel was above everything else. I haven't run my TXT1 for, best part of 3 years now. It featured in one of my earlier videos. I want to run it more, but getting spare parts for it now is just nigh on impossible. And when I originally bought it, nigh on 20 years ago, I was heavily into engine cars, HPI Savage, those kind of things. And so I beat on the TXT1 somewhat rotten. It had a lot of use and abuse back in the mid 2000s, and as such the drivetrain is well overdue for some maintenance, but just getting spares is nigh on impossible. So it has to be driven with a bit of care, and with the throttle and brake exponential set to give it the smoothest and least stress acceleration and braking. But I took it along just because it's got such a presence about it, and I haven't used it for a while. Land Free, they're over there. There was several tracked cars. I was surprised. I don't see too many of them, but this event quite a few showed up. BBX looking really good. A lot of the comical series on the day as well. the comical Hot Shots, Hornet, a lot of the big wheel stuff as well. And then surprisingly, as you just saw, there was someone Terra Scorcher and Avanti, and to my surprise, there we go, a big rig. You do not see a lot of them, and I've been waiting forever for Tamiya to run off another batch, but they never do. And it was cool to see run around with my TXT1 with an Avanti and a big rig and a Terra Scorcher at the same time. A lot of six-wheel buggies as well. Yeah, it was good. Okay, moving on. Another quick view of the full-scale cars there. When we get to Blockhead Motors booth, they were mainly just selling apparel. They had a huge line first thing in the morning. I'm not sure what people wanted, but it sold out within the first 10 minutes. The rest of the things were stickers, decal sets, mugs, key holders, various goods, that kind of thing. You could just see to the left Radio Gaga's booth, and then coming up is Tamiya's rental booth. They had loads of different RC cars that you could rent during the day and run around. So it was kind of cool to see everything just on the track at the same time. It's somewhat unusual. I think Tamiya really got the right approach with an event like this. It's all about bringing in this new generation of enthusiasts, keeping the hobby alive and going for the foreseeable future, hopefully. So we're making our way back to the start. You can see the FAV and the Monster Beetle right there. Which one would you choose? If you could take one of those home, which one you would choose? Before the event, I would have said without question the Monster Beetle, but seeing that X311 in the flesh, that would be my choice for sure. Okay, so moving on, we're heading back over to where basically I'd set up for the day, and we're going to go on a bit of a RC walk. Yeah, Tamiya organized an RC walk, and I've never participated in one of these before. This one, at the end of the walk, they said they had a total of 137 people involved, and if you've never been on one of these before, or if you're in a country that doesn't have one of these, get one of these organized, because I can't remember the last time I had so much fun running RC. Of course, yeah, running just for fun, or your local track, or participating in races and stuff like that, it's fun. But this was just like on another level. 137 people just leisurely walking through the forest on a fine autumn day with their favorite RC. Yeah, it doesn't get much better than this. Next 30 minutes was just absolute RC bliss in my book. Yeah, as we move away from the DJ tent, I'll bring the volume back in so you can hear more of the ambient sound. But yeah, it was great. There was just so much variety. Look at this little girl. She's got her Bronco there, and her favorite doll stuck on the roof. There was quite a few kind of like character cars, comical cars, and as you can probably hear, several of the machines have got sound boxes in them with engine sounds, horns and that kind of stuff, and that just completely added to the effect. But yeah, this was so nice just to casually walk through the forest. Just in the background there you can see Jun Watanabe of Blockhead Motors. At the front of the line was Paisen RC, and there's June, and Radio Gaga. We passed a couple of people on the way who had nothing to do with RC, and the look on their faces, they walk around they're taking a leisurely stroll through the forest on a Sunday afternoon, and they go around a corner and they're greeted by 130 plus people all basically taking their RC car for a walk. Although having said that, there were a couple of dogs there, and the most well-behaved dogs I have ever come across. My two dogs would just go absolutely bananas at all these RC cars, but these two dogs, they were just well-behaved and just casually walked along beside all the RCs. Okay, I don't want to cut this out, so what I'm going to do is for the next 5 minutes or so, I figured this channel recently passed 4,000 subscribers, thank you very much, and I realized I am long overdue for any kind of ask me anything question and answer session. Adam does them occasionally, and a lot of other YouTubers do, and I realized that I've not actually done one myself, basically because I don't think my life is that interesting for me to talk about it. But I'm sure there were a couple of common questions, so what I'm going to try and do is I didn't send out any kind of like request for questions. How often do you see an Advanti running next to a TXT1 running next to a Grasshopper? No, you just don't, do you? Anyway, I figured I'd kind of like try and predict what kind of questions I would get, and I suppose the first one would be, where are you from originally? If you can't tell from my accent, which the longer I live in Japan, the more people say I sound like an American. I am not. I was raised in England, in Derby, a town in the Midlands. So if you're from England, you'll know where that is. I spent the first half of my life in England, and I moved to Japan in my early 20s. So I've actually lived here longer than I lived in England. Next question, I guess, would be, how did you get in the hobby? What was your start in the hobby? Same as the vast majority of people, I would imagine, especially, you know, people watching my channel, got into the hobby initially with toy RCs, you know, Christmas presents, and then was part of the RC boom in the mid to late 80s. My first Tamiya was, I want to say, a frog that was gifted to me by uncle. The first Tamiya RC I actually got was a Monster Beetle for Christmas, and I also picked up a Terra Scorcher. You know, the 80s was a different time period. You know, you just basically do RC wherever you wanted. I grew up, you know, working family on a council estate, so we used to, my brothers and I, I'm the oldest one of 4 siblings. We all had RC. We just go out into the parking area at local parks, run RC there. After that, we started going to a local RC club. If you're in Derby at that time, you probably know it. It was called Queen's Hall. Basically, it was just a hall that we borrowed in the evenings, laid down a carpet, put the track down, and did some racing. It was there that I started racing my Terra Scorcher, and tended to lose big time to things like Optimas and Top Cats and you know, all those kind of things. Later on, some of my friends from school, their father owned a local pub. He was a landlord at a local pub, and he wanted to kind of capitalize on the RC boom, so he converted his beer garden into an RC track. So I got to run there quite a bit, and it was actually there that I saw my first Advanti. The landlord brought an Advanti. I can remember going to my friend's house. In the kitchen, on the kitchen table, was this freshly built Advanti, and you know, it's like jaw dropped. It's like, wow, never seen anything like this. I wanted one so badly back in the day. And then after that, I was the same as I suspect the majority of people, you know, in teenage years, kind of drift away from the hobby. At least I did. Music kind of took over my life, basically. Then moved to Japan after university, and slowly got back into the hobby. At that time, I was into full-size cars in a big way, Skylines particularly. So I picked up a Tamiya TT01 R32 Skyline, Nissan Skyline GTR. That was my first RC car in Japan. After that, picked up a couple of re-releases, Frog, Hotshot, had a couple of MO3 mini chassis. And then when we moved into our house where we are now, my neighbor was big into engine cars, HPI Savage, and it kind of like pulled me into that realm, and so I shifted over heavily into engine cars during the early 2000s. Then kind of drifted away from the hobby again, just, you know, life got in the way, other things. I spent a lot of time doing photography, those kind of stuff. And it wasn't until, four years ago that I really didn't get back into the hobby properly. I picked up my first Kyosho, re-released the Turbo Scorpion, and after that I was completely hooked. And that brings us to today. Right now, the collection, I don't even want to try and count the collection. It's grown considerably in the last 3 years, and particularly this year. I need to kind of cut back on RC, simply because I just don't have, you know, I'm in Japan. Japanese houses are, generally speaking, quite small. I just don't have the space for it. It's taken up the entire house now. I just don't have the space, so I really, going into 2025, I'm going to be a lot more selective about what kits I purchase. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but you know, it's no point buying stuff if you've got nowhere to put it when it's built. And you know, I'm not one for shelf queens or new in box kits. I like to build everything and run everything. So what other questions would they likely to be? You know, my mind's gone blank now. If there are any other questions, put them in the comments below, and at some point in the future I'll try and when I've got enough questions to put together a video, I'll try and put them together as a video. I guess there's just life in Japan, but yeah, now I think about it, it's probably better if you ask me specific questions and I can make sure I'm answering those. So that's the end. Well, coming up to the end of the RC walk. Absolutely surreal experience. Definitely I want to go and do that again next year. Just so much fun. We came to yeah, I remember this. We came to a little clearing, waiting for everybody to catch up, and then just everybody just like got into this line to climb over this log pile, and there was me with my TXT1, you know, massive TXT1, thinking, oh, that's gonna walk over this, like there's nothing there, you know, it's like a pebble in the road. Nothing could be further from the truth. I don't have any footage of it, but yeah, the TXT1 did not get over that log pile at all, despite its massive size. Yeah, the crawlers, they really showed what they can do with the right tires and a lot of articulation. But the TXT1 does have a lot of articulation. Final photo walk, the RC walk photo shoot. Yeah, absolutely surreal experience. Okay, finally, it was the 40th anniversary of the Grasshopper and the Hornet, so they finished the event with a parade run, and you just saw there the Hornet right at the front there. That is the Hornet Evo, driven by Paisen RC. That one is a full optioned out Hornet Evo. Quite a selection. Basically, if it was a Grasshopper or a Hornet of any guy, so comical series, doesn't matter. As long as it's Grasshopper or Hornet, you were good to go. We did like several parade laps, and then right at the end, the MC, the guy from Tamiya, is like, okay, for the last thing, everybody's got to go over this jump, and this jump is really high, and my Grasshopper is set up for racing at Kanosu, my local indoor carpet track, and so it's got a modified front bumper on it. And I knew going over the jump, that bumper is just going to dig into the grass and I'm going to end up on my roof, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Went over the jump. I tried to hit the speed as much as possible as we went up the jump, but the tires slipped, and yeah, I ended up landing on my roof. Oh, and if you're wondering what we're doing there, the guy said everybody on the left side make a G sign with your hands, and everybody on the right side make a H sign with your hands, and so that's what we were doing. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope it was useful, and I hope it kind of shows you the kind of events that we have over here in Japan. I've got another event coming up this weekend. It's at my local outdoor dirt track, Kanosu Fumoto. If you're in Japan, Kanosu Fumoto, this weekend, Sunday, December 8th, it's in cooperation with Pine Beach Raceway and Panda RC Circuit. It's going to be great. The weather looks like it's going to be good as well, so if you're in Japan, please come on over. I will of course shoot video for that and try and get another video out as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. My name is David, this is Kai City RC, and I'll see you in the next one.